Welcome back to the Scale Smart podcast. I'm your host, Jacob, and also the founder of Next Scale Growth. Today, I have the pleasure of being joined by the CEO of SUMA SaaS, Matt Cole. Matt, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Jacob. It's a pleasure to be here. Really looking forward to sharing our story.
So, Matt, kick me off. Tell me a little bit more about yourself, your experience, and what do you guys do in SUMA SaaS?
Sure. SUMA provides mission-critical software and services for small businesses and accounting firms in Latin America. We currently serve over 100,000 SMBs and accounting firms with our accounting, payroll, and electronic invoicing software. I've been supporting the business now for 10 years and have responsibility for our operations in Argentina, Chile, and Mexico.
Amazing. And leading up to you becoming the CEO of the company, Matt, what did your experience look like before entering SUMA?
Well, I've always been a bit of a small business person, entrepreneur. I remember always having a paper route or a lemonade stand or, selling chocolates at school. I've always liked to start companies, come from a family of entrepreneurs and small business owners. I took a wrong turn somewhere and ended up in banking, but quickly got back on the right track and have been working in the startup tech scale-up world now for the past 12 years.
And what are some of the challenges you face while scaling SUMA? I know you guys have had 3 acquisitions, you operate in Latin America, but when it comes to space that's becoming increasingly crowded, what would you guys see as some of the biggest challenges?
Yeah, I mean, we've built this company over the last 9 years from 5 million in revenue to 25 million of ARR. And we've made a lot of mistakes along the way. We have a lot of lessons learned. And we've had the great fortune to acquire businesses that were run by great entrepreneurs, all of which are still our partners today in SUMA. I would say, what we found is that, highly focused ICP definition is critical for success. So there's millions and millions of small businesses in Latin America, 27 million to be more precise. And we feel that those businesses can be very well segmented and that the entire business strategy needs to be informed and driven by that ideal customer profile, whether it's the product roadmap, the marketing campaigns, the sales scripts, even the customer activation in order to deliver value within minutes or hours of a new customer coming on board. And that's really been one of the big drivers of our success and failure as we've tried to scale SUMA over the past 9 years.
And I think that thing you mentioned about ICP is really important because I think a big mistake companies make nowadays is like just trying to target absolutely every single company they have, they can get access to. And I think it's like such the wrong approach because like you're going to get a lot of no's from a lot of different people, and it makes you actually think, oh my god, have we found product market fit? Is the product that we are actually offering, is it relevant? So like, what would you say to people who are, let's say for example, they're targeting accounting, they're targeting manufacturing, logistics, real estate? Like, what would you say?
Yeah, no, I think the easiest thing to do is to look at the data. So let's say you have 100 customers. Who are your top 10 happiest customers that were the easiest to convince to buy, that were the least friction in the onboarding, who've stayed with you for months and years, who probably bought, additional products or upsold their plan or added new users, and focus on how do you replicate more of those top 10 or top 1% or top 10% of your customer base. I think too often, and we've made this mistake, we focus on the 90% of the customers or maybe 80% of the customers who may not be seeing a lot of value in the product, and how can we get them to see value? And if you're selling chocolate ice cream and the world wants vanilla, then you gotta shift, you gotta change something. And so we try to focus on our happiest customers and how do we find more than those? Obviously, we take all feedback from all customers, but instead of studying all of the borderline cases, we try to study where we're absolutely in the sweet spot.
And with so many SaaS management tools out there now, how are you guys at SUMA differentiating yourself in order to stay competitive within today's marketplace?
Yeah, I think we've done a better job over the years of defining really the different use cases between accounting studios and small businesses. And they use the products in very different ways, what they're concerned about. Generally, accountants are more concerned about backward-looking financial statements to accurately represent the past. Generally, small business owners are more forward looking. What bills do I need to collect in order to make payroll? What's my projection of sales looking like this month? And what can I do in order to positively impact that? And so, even though both of those types of views start with the same information, I think, understanding exactly the value that our ICP wants to see, and then how do we deliver that value? And I think, there are obviously massive accounting and audit firms like, PwC and Deloitte and KPMG and EY. Those are not our ideal customers. So, we focus on, small accounting firms that might have between 5 and 25 customers, and really be sure that we're delivering value for those accounting studios rather than, thinking about an accounting software that is one size fit all.
Yeah, and I think shifting to like AI now, I think AI took a massive kind of hit on the industry as well with like automating different processes, and AI agents as well coming into the scene. So how are you guys leveraging AI, if at all leveraging it, and how do you see it kind of adapting over time and taking a hit on the industry?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's going to take a hit on the industry. I think those who embrace AI will be able to serve more customers with more value added advice, move away from bookkeeping and record keeping into analyzing data and making recommendations as a trusted advisor. And in fact, within our ICP, we've also tried to focus on accountants that want to be part of the future of AI, and not accountants who were too stuck in the past. And so, like all technology, fighting the adoption and implementation, I think, is generally a losing battle. I mean, you can hold your ground for months or years, maybe even decades, but eventually, any new technology which allows humans to be more effective at their job, and quite frankly, to spend more time on value added activities, is one that we think will be accretive, and our best customers will find tremendous amount of value in the AI solutions that we're already today providing.
I think as well, companies who adopt to AI now and integrate some form of AI into their company, they're just going to scale so much quicker than the ones who aren't. And then it's going to come to a point where the ones who aren't are just so far behind that they're just going to kind of like crumble. So you mentioned there about like accountants who are like still in the past. You guys want to focus on accountants who are more into the future. So what would you say, Matt, to accountants who are left in the past, who need to kind of take that step into the future?
Well, it's never too late. I mean, we've all come to terms with AI at different points along the past several months and years. I mean, there were colleagues who've been working on AI since 2018, and then people like me who are recently converted. And like the recently converted, I'm even more enthusiastic than maybe those who've been practicing the AI religion for a while. I think it's about getting over a fear factor, embracing the new technology, recognizing that it's okay not to know, and experimentation. I think, like many things, it's one thing to read a book about doing yoga or playing tennis. It's another thing to be out there on the court or on the yoga mat. So you get out there on the yoga mat, you'll look ridiculous probably to most of the other people in the room. But if you never get out there and you never recognize, your vulnerability, it's very difficult to progress forward.
And where do you see the future of the industry heading?
I mean, I think there will always be a role for business advisors, financial advisors, tax advisors. I think there'll always be a role for humans to connect with other humans in order to provide context and recommendations on the margin. And I think small business owners who are successful are generally the ones who are more aware of their environment and are taking decisions based on data rather than, on opinion or hunch. And so software which allows small business owners to be more data driven, to be more efficient, to spend more time with their customers and their employees and less time, struggling and fighting with Excel spreadsheets are the ones who are going to be more successful. And the accountants who are focused on providing value to those customers are the accounting firms that are going to be more successful.
And I was speaking to somebody the other week on the podcast, and they were basically saying that AI might not come to a point in every industry where it replaces humans, but it will definitely come to a point where the humans who use AI will replace the humans who don't. What would you say to that?
Oh, listen, I think it's the same as we could make the same argument about the internet or about computers or about smartphones at this point. And, I think that this is going to have a very massive impact and already is on how humans work together, how they work individually. But I don't see in any way where we cannot harness AI for the positive of aspects of progress and good. Like all new technologies, it certainly can be used for malicious purposes. And obviously, if not controlled, it could, run rampant. But you could say the same for many other technological innovations as well. I think where the rubber hits the road is channeling and harnessing the power versus trying to block the flow. And we're very focused on channeling and harvesting the power of AI at SUMA SaaS.
And Matt, one of the last questions that I've got, right, is if you could tell yourself, Matt, let's say 10 years ago when you started on this journey, something that you know now, what would that be?
I've had to work on my humility and controlling my ego. So I would tell myself not to take myself too seriously, that my ego is not my amigo, as I like to say now, and that being humble, being self-aware, being curious, you can learn a lot. And if you take your approach of every interaction, whether you're talking to a colleague or in a board meeting or just, riding around with a cab driver in a new city, that if you're curious, you might learn something. If you talk the whole time, you're probably not going to learn anything.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. And Matt, what are some of the goals that you've got for the company over the next 6 to 12 months?
Man, we are doing so many things. We've just launched an AI lab at SUMA, and actually we were just reviewing this morning with one of my colleagues. We have 14 submissions that have come from the bottom up, from the people who are closest to our customers and to our lines of code and to the market. And so we're going to be approving those, and we're going to have a Shark Tank like pitch competition early next week. So I'll be looking at getting those into action, launching new product lines, which are AI driven, particularly around repetitive tasks like bank reconciliation that can be, our collections that can be automated. We see a massive opportunity for more and more collaboration between accountants and SMBs driven by AI. How do we get data out of the systems of our small business owners into the accounting systems of our accountant partners? So, the focus for us, well, how do we be able to double the size of the business, over the next 2 or 3 years by harnessing and working with the tools we're already building, but making our people more productive and able to spend time on activities which create more value for them and for our customers.
And Matt, if people wanted to reach out to you and find out some more about yourself or also what you guys are doing at SUMA, where's the best place for them to do that?
Sure, you can go to our website, sumasas.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Matthew Cole, CEO of SUMA SaaS. If you're in Chile, Nubox is our brand there. In Mexico, it's Bind. In Argentina, it's Colpi. But the best way to find all of us is at sumasas.com.
Amazing. Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. It's been great speaking to you and hearing about your journey and what you guys have got planned in the future.
Thank you, Jacob. It's a pleasure to be here and just looking to give a little bit back to the whole ecosystem, and really proud of all those entrepreneurs out there grinding. I know it's not easy. Just keep at it. Just keep moving forward, keep swimming, and eventually, your time will come.
Thank you so much, Matt.
Take care. Bye-bye.